Welcome back, everybody. I'm a Jade Monkey. We're back here in Rust. We're talking about the easiest ways, or ways to gain scrap. The best ways, the easiest ways to gain scrap. This is for the Rust Console Edition. This is for all platforms, really, but I'm focusing in on the Rust Console Edition. We would be doing this on the console version, but we cannot run it yet. So, or at least as of recording this. Anyways, as for the pre-order beta, this is also for the full release that should be later on in May. Okay, so one of the first things you're going to find out very quickly when you drop in for your first wipe is scrap. All the time, all the way, scrap, scrap, scrap. So one of the ways you can do this, well, what I should say real quick, full disclosure, I have admin, so I can do stuff like this just to move things along. But I do have a standard inventory here of things that you would typically have. So some of them are obvious, some of them not so much. I'm going to go ahead and use my admin commands and fly here. Junk piles everywhere along the road. Wouldn't you know it? There's not some there. Okay, there we go. There's some right here. Junk piles. Always hit all of the barrels, including the red ones, because you need to make your furnaces. And then what you'll do is you'll accumulate sometimes a lot of extra components and some of these scuba gear equipment, some of that scuba gear equipment. So we'll get back to this a little bit later, but just know, hang on to them. The most important one is probably the diving tank, I would say, out of all of them, and then maybe the flipper, and then you've got a wetsuit as well. Anyway, so what you do is you'll be accumulating a lot of different scrap here. Oh, look at that, we got bullets. But you'll also accumulate some different components. Things like metal sheets, we've got the propane tank. So then what you want to do is find a place where you can recycle. This is a mining outpost, and again, your map is going to change from wipe to wipe, server to server. Where are we right now? There we are. Just know that there are recycling stations at just about every monument, and they'll be at different locations. Some of the places you could do it that are safe would be the outpost. There's recyclers there, and there's also one at the where's our bandit camp? There's our bandit camp. And there's some at the bandit camp. Just know that sometimes people try to catch you slipping. They'll push you off of those, but that is definitely the way to go, is use recyclers. I'm going to go ahead and loot a few more of these here so you can kind of see what this... Oh my goodness, I get a satchel right off the rip. All right, just so you know, you would take that home and research that immediately. Here's another cool tip. You ready? Satchels take bean cans and satchels to make the satchel itself. I know that sounds weird, but you need to research those. Here's a little tip. If you already know the satchel, but you've yet to find the bean can, this is kind of perfect timing. Recycle the bean can. You have a 100% chance, or I'm sorry, recycle the satchel. You have a 100% chance of getting a bean can. So if you've already learned the satchel and you need the bean can, see what I mean? Then you would take one of these and research it. Pretty nice. All right. So what I like to do is I like to take the extra components. I always tell people to save the gears that equals base defense. But if you look here, you'll get extra materials, but you'll also get scrap. Scrap is the most important thing in this game because it helps you progress, it helps you learn, it helps you get the workbenches. Moving through progression in this game essentially is what it means. It's also the currency of the game. So if people are trying to sell you things, oftentimes they'll ask you for scrap. All right, so right there you see we got 58. So yes, if you are looking to move the needle on your scrap progression, it is definitely all about recycling the right things. And recycling the right things can also help you get the materials you're looking for. I'm trying to show you. We got kind of junky RNG on this one, but let me show you. Just know that when you're out in the wild here, you can get shot at. So springs equate to weapons and type of base defense kind of stuff, or like base defense, but also like just weapons in general. You'll get some scrap off of this, but these are a little bit on the rarer side. I like to save these, but we'll recycle this for example's sake. But here's the real kicker. If you're coming into a wipe rather late, and you are looking to make some progression, hang on, I might have to flick the lights back on. Give me just one sec. Boop, ba-da, ba-da, boop. Let's make it noon, all day, every day. Okay, see, told you I was an admin. Okay, so a lot of times you'll come into a server, the wipe will already be well along. You'll see us do it a lot on stream. What you want to start to do is after you gather these various pieces here, and you finally do have an air tank and even some goggles, you can do what I like to do at any point during the wipe, and that is water junk piles. All right, so we're going to move up here by the shoreline. I might have to spawn a boat in. So, okay, after gathering all these different locations here, all these different junk piles, I would strongly suggest making a satellite base up on the water once you do find one of these rowboats. I'm going to go ahead and link now a good satellite base called the Slug in the upper right-hand corner. That Slug will help you, even if you have a main base, that Slug is a brilliant supporter, dare I say, for any major base. And even if you don't live by the shore, the little Slug base will help you out. Yeah, it looks like we're going to have to spawn one in, aren't we? Can we find one? I'm just going to kind of slink around the corner. I spawned some in earlier, but I think they already decayed. So just know that boats do decay over time. So if you put them under something like this, all right, well, here's a good example. This is something a little bit different. If they're under a foundation tile or a ceiling tile, they don't decay over time. You can repair them with wood and metal fragments and a building hammer. So a building hammer is, I believe, 50? It's 100 wood. Man, I'm off. Oh, it's the paper. It's the construction that's that. Okay. So if you find a boat, you can push it off the shoreline. And then if you have low grade, let me show you what that looks like. Normally these wouldn't have gas in them unless you're stealing them off somebody's base. But here's the kicker, right? Once you've got a boat, you can start to do stuff like this. Wouldn't you know we're so far away from a junk pile right now? Alright, so you're looking for two things out here. And here's the reason why this is so great. People out here, you'll see them coming. Okay? And people can't fire weapons under the water, which makes this a great defensive position and a way that you can constantly progress. Because I always say, when you're pinned in your base for a long period of time, you're not moving the needle. So if you can somehow have a secondary base and then respawn there and then do stuff like this, like, look, these are the junk piles that are on the ground. Do you see anybody else out here? I don't. Well, it's because it's our own server, but you get what I'm saying. You would see them coming a mile away. Also, if you were lucky enough to get an air tank, gas mask, air tank, I'm sorry, face mask, and flippers. The flippers are also quite clunky on the surface. But look, as I go deep in the water, there's stuff that's sunken underwater here that we can also loot. I don't think we have anything. Oh, yeah, we do, right here. Here's a good example. Look at this. You'll see these cleared out spots with boulders. You can go down here and loot these. So many veterans of this game are totally unaware of where these are at. Look at that. That's the old boat model, which is probably the boat model we have. Look, so you've got these crates down here. You have two different types. You'll have the small one that you untie, and then you'll have a large one. Then you go to the surface and you collect that loot, creating another interesting position where if you've got multiple people on the water, you can attack somebody that's collecting the crates. It puts you somewhat vulnerable. And if you look at my air tank, you see it goes down over time. I'm going to show you a little trick. As a matter of fact, I'm going to use my admin tools one more time. You do not have access to these, but we're going to put a workbench in our inventory to show you later. Here's the other great little tip here. You can switch air tanks while you're underwater, so you can stay underwater for like an insane amount of time. Here's another great thing. If you get attacked and your boat gets overrun, you can then go underwater. You don't necessarily need to know where you need to go. Use the map, place a location, and then get yourself back to shore, and then just use your marker on your map. You see right there at the top? Isn't that great? I can't tell you how many times I've been jumped by a gang of 4+ people, and I've been able to get away with all of my loot. So also, you want to make sure you're taking the gas out of your boat as well. So I'm trying to show you a larger crate. Yeah, we'll get to the surface and show you a couple more indicators that you want to look for. There can be a large crate down here too. The ones that look like a large box in your main inventory. Would it be under construction? Items. It's got to be items. There. It looks like this. A little bit darker, but it looks like that. A large wooden box. Okay. Once you're on the surface, you're good to go, and then you can loot these barrels. And then, as we touched base on the recycler earlier, there are monuments that ride up against the edge of the shoreline. Things like the harbor. I also have a monument guide on that. I will link that now in the upper right-hand corner. Not only does it have puzzle pieces there, you can do recycling. And so you can take your boat, in most cases, pretty dang close or on top of the spot you need to be to collect or to jump up there and do some recycling. All right, so I'll take this out because it's driving me nuts. We're going to throw this in the water. Boo! Okay. And so, yeah, at any point while you're doing a wipe, this can be massively beneficial for you and your team. And again, having an extra base or satellite base is just an extra base. I have another boat base. I call it the boathouse. I will go ahead and link that now in the upper right-hand corner. The boathouse is amazing. Again, another great satellite base to throw out there. And you can even use it as a starter base if you want to. A lot of times just sitting up on the shoreline, you can do some massive progression, and then other people are sitting there duking it out. Sometimes you want to get in the mix. Sometimes you want to get into a server late and get some of that gain that you're looking for. All right, so here's a good example right here. Check it out, the harbor. Look, I've got a bunch of recyclables. Usually you want to take out your your gasoline, the low grade. If anybody's wondering what that's what low grade's for. Well, one of the many uses for low grade. So look, this particular harbor has a recycler right on the water. And for the most part, you hear my feet. You can hear people coming up on you if they're not crouching. So you can take all your extra stuff like this. I would keep that. Some cases I would do that. So check this out. So you're probably like, yeah, that's cool and all, but what do I do when I run out of air? No problem. If you've got one of these, any workbench whatsoever, and you get close to it, doesn't even have to be yours. You could do it at the outpost. If you walk up to the proximity of this workbench, you then click on this and there's an option to refill it for free. You lose a little bit of durability on the top, but for the most part you can reuse these quite a bit. I'll go ahead and show you out here. And I'll show you some of the compartments inside the boat that also make it great. So yes, if you want to keep the boat, you have to put it under a ceiling or stick it indoors somewhere. So yes, you can make a complete boathouse and store the boat and nobody can take it from you. Well, it won't decay, rather. I guess somebody can blow into your base and take it all they want. All right, so in a place where you can place down structures and whatnot. I forgot to show you some of the sunken ships and stuff. Well, I'll show you how to refill this real quick because it is important. Yeah, I've used this so many times. That's why I love like different types of boat bases, whether they're main or secondary or satellite bases, whatever you want to call them. I don't know if I'm far enough away from this. Just want to show you that you can refill these. Oh, there we go. Okay, so like right here, you see how we're in the workbench range on the lower right. If I'm right there, I can click on my, what is this, the diving tank, and then I can refill it. See, just a little sesame seed crumb there at the top that's red, and you can keep reusing it over and over and over until it's gone. Now, depending on what version of Rust you're in, sometimes you can recycle it. It's only rather new, so I'm not quite sure if the version we'll be playing initially will have that ability. So basically when they're done, you probably just throw them out. If you're looking to do scuba stuff at any time, even if you're not sure, save those pieces of gear, because when you need them, you won't have them and it's kind of frustrating. I'm going to show you just one more thing out here. There's different types of sunken ships, and they are marked with these little white bottles that are floating on the surface. The flotillas are pretty self-explanatory because you'll see them everywhere. I'm just trying to find one of these bottles. And again, you can see people coming from a mile away. And check this out. You can also hook the boat and jump out of it, and the boat will keep going. And you can jump back into it. Isn't that great? Look at this. Boop! And you've got a little storage bin in the front. It's a small stash. Well, they call it a wooden stash, but it's a small wooden stash. Then you can use your change seat button, which I'm not sure what it was during pre-order beta or during the limited beta, but there is a button for it. I think you just look at the seat and do it. All right, we're going to look for that last water bottle. And again, if you found this useful and helpful, be sure to drop a like. It helps out a lot. I've got a lot of different Rust guides out there. Oop, there's one. Got that Rust guides playlist. I will go ahead and link that now in the upper right-hand corner. It's going to help you with base building, getting started, rating, different base designs, all kinds of stuff. If you're a solo or a group, we've got something for everybody. New, beginner, intermediate, advanced, you name it. All right, so check this out. Normally I would hit this and take out all the fuel like so, just in case I get jumped, and I put my less valuables here in the front. Another tip, don't drop things on here. They kind of slide through pretty easily. I would stick on my mask here. And yeah, by the way, if you found this useful, not only that like, but if you think this is something you'd watch in the future, drop a subscribe and turn on notifications. Oops, better put on my flippers. You see how slow I am? Yes, turning on notifications will help you get notified of all the different news that's happening around Rust on the console edition. And also, look at this, isn't this cool? And also guides and such. We do a lot of open world survival. We're pretty focused on DayZ and Rust, just so you know. Probably a lot more Rust in the more near future because we've been playing this so heavily. We've been waiting for this for years. Right there, man, we still know big crates. Sometimes you can find them around the algae here, the seaweed or whatever this is. Oh, there we go. There's a large one. Perfect. Perfect. And then you just untie that bad boy. It takes a minute. So what we like to do, if you're lucky enough to have a group, we'll have somebody do the diving portion and then somebody do the junk piles. The flotillas are what we call them on the surface, and they come back and help us gather up these crates. It's actually very effective. It's moved the needle for us countless times, and it is one of the better ways to get progression and get that easy scrap, the non-conflict scrap. And then look, you can see these little clearing areas here. You betcha there's going to be extra flotillas or junk piles, or I guess it's more crates underwater. As you can see some right there. So there you go, easy scrap, best ways to get scrap, not contested. And to move the needle, if you come in with day 1 or 5 days into the wipe, it doesn't matter. You and your team will be able to get scrap and get those workbenches and research that you're looking for. Here we come, AKBP. All right, we'll see you guys in the next video. Deuces. Oh, man.